Jessica Martinez woke up at 5 in the morning, just like every other day. The alarm blared insistently in the small studio apartment in Queens, New York. She carefully got out of bed to avoid waking Emily, her 6-year-old daughter, who slept peacefully in the twin bed on the other side of the room divider. The routine was always the same: quick shower, strong black coffee, prepare Emily's lunchbox, and get everything organized before waking her up. Jessica looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror as she pulled her dark brown hair into a neat ponytail. At 28 years old, her hands already showed calluses from hard work, but her hazel eyes still sparkled with determination. "Wake up, sweetheart," she whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Mrs. Chen will be here soon." Emily opened her eyes and smiled. That smile made everything worthwhile. After leaving Emily with the neighbor who watched her before school, Jessica took 2 crowded subway trains to Manhattan. The commute took 90 minutes, time she used to study business English on a free app on her phone. She dreamed of getting a better job someday, perhaps at a hotel or international company. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any episode. Let's go on this journey together. The Corner Brew was a charming establishment with exposed brick walls and polished wooden tables. Located on the ground floor of a midtown office building, it served executives, lawyers, and business people who worked in the surrounding skyscrapers. Jessica had worked there for 3 years, always punctual, always efficient. "Good morning, Jess," greeted Marcus, the barista. "Ready for another day?" "Always," she replied, tying the black apron with the cafe's gold-embroidered logo. The morning started busy. Jessica served tables with agility, memorizing complex orders, smiling even when customers were rude, balancing plates and cups with mastery developed over the years. Every tip, no matter how small, was carefully saved for extra expenses: school supplies, medical appointments, an occasional outing with Emily. It was almost 11 o'clock when she walked in. The woman was impossible to ignore. Tall, around 36 years old, she wore a tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than Jessica's rent for 6 months. Her platinum blonde hair was pulled back in a flawless low bun, and she wore designer sunglasses even inside the cafe. She carried an Italian leather briefcase and walked with an upright, almost military posture. "Good morning," Jessica said, approaching with her notepad. "Welcome to the Corner Brew. May I offer you our menu?" The woman slowly removed her sunglasses. Her eyes were a piercing blue, almost icy. For a moment, Jessica felt as if she were being evaluated, every detail being catalogued. Double espresso, black, no sugar. Her voice was firm, direct, leaving no room for conversation. "Of course. Anything else?" "No." Jessica wrote it down and walked away, feeling the woman's gaze on her back. It was a strange sensation, not exactly uncomfortable, but intense. She had served thousands of customers, but this one was different. There was something in those blue eyes that seemed to see beyond the surface. Marcus prepared the espresso with his usual skill, and Jessica carefully served the drink, placing the porcelain cup in front of the customer. "Thank you," said the woman, and for the first time, something in her expression softened slightly. For the next 20 minutes, the customer drank her coffee slowly, occasionally checking her phone, but always returning to observe Jessica. It wasn't a predatory or uncomfortable stare, but curious, analytical, like someone studying a work of art in a museum. Jessica continued her work, but felt that presence. When the woman finally signaled she wanted the check, Jessica brought the card reader. $15, she informed. The woman swiped a black card, one of those with no limit. When the machine processed the payment, she simply stood up and left, without another word, without $1 in tips. Jessica sighed. It happened. Rich people weren't always generous. She had learned not to expect much. When cleaning the table, following the usual protocol, Jessica lifted the empty saucer where the sugar packets had been. Underneath it, there was an ivory-colored business card with embossed gold lettering. Victoria Ashford, CEO, Ashford Enterprises. On the back, written by hand in elegant calligraphy, "You have your own light. That's rare. If you want to hear a proposal that could change your life, call this number tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's not charity. It's recognition of potential." VA. Below, a phone number. Jessica stood frozen, holding the card as if it were a grenade about to explode. Her heart raced. Victoria Ashford. She knew that name. Everyone who read newspapers or watched the news knew it. One of the wealthiest women in America, heiress to a real estate development empire, with a reputation for being brilliant in business and absolutely ruthless with competitors. "What's up, Jess? You look pale," asked Marcus, approaching. "Nothing, it's nothing." She quickly tucked the card into her apron pocket, her heart still racing. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Jessica served mechanically, her mind always returning to the card in her pocket. Was it real? Why would a woman like Victoria Ashford leave a message for a waitress? Was it a prank? An elaborate scam? When her shift ended at 6 p.m, Jessica took the subway back to Queens in a state of semi-shock. She picked up Emily, prepared dinner, rice, beans, grilled chicken, and salad, and helped the girl with her homework, but her mind was elsewhere. After Emily fell asleep, Jessica sat at the small kitchen table, the business card in front of her. She picked up her phone several times, dialed the number, but always hung up before completing the call. "This is crazy," she murmured to herself. "Women like her don't make proposals to women like me." But those handwritten words kept echoing in her mind. "You have your own light. That's rare." No one had ever said anything like that to her. Jessica barely slept that night, alternating between hope and fear of the unknown. The next day dragged like molasses. Jessica could barely concentrate at work, checking the clock every 15 minutes. She made small mistakes, brought cream when they asked for milk, forgot to write down an order. And Marcus noticed her distraction. "Jess, are you really okay? I've never seen you so spaced out." "Sorry, Marcus. Didn't sleep well. It'll pass." At 1:45, Jessica asked permission to go to the restroom. She locked herself in a stall, took 3 deep breaths, and dialed the number. 3 rings. 4. Victoria Ashford answered that firm voice Jessica immediately recognized. "Hi. Hello. This is Jessica, from the Corner Brew, the waitress who... You left your card yesterday." There was a pause. Jessica almost hung up, thinking she had made a terrible mistake. "Jessica," Victoria's voice softened imperceptibly. "I'm glad you called. I was hoping you would. I don't really understand what... Can we talk in person? Today, if possible. What time does your shift end? At 6. Perfect. I'll send my driver to pick you up in front of the cafe at 6:15. Don't worry. It's just a conversation. You're not in danger, nor are you being scammed. My word of honor." Jessica swallowed hard. "How do you know you can trust me?" For the first time, she heard something like a laugh in Victoria's voice. "I've spent the last 3 months observing you, Jessica. I know exactly who you are." Before Jessica could process this disturbing information, Victoria continued. "See you at 6:15. Black car Mercedes, license plate ending in 8. The call ended. Guys, what a twist. What could Victoria want? Stay with me because this story is just getting started. Take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. Jessica returned to work in a trance. 3 months observing? What did that mean? Why? At 6:15 sharp, a black Mercedes stopped in front of the cafe. A uniformed driver got out and opened the rear door. "Ms. Jessica Martinez." She nodded, mute, and got into the car. The interior smelled of new leather and expensive perfume. In the back seat, Victoria Ashford was waiting for her, now wearing a white silk blouse and black dress pants. Without the sunglasses, her face was surprisingly beautiful, with delicate features that contrasted with the harshness of her reputation. "Thank you for coming," said Victoria, as the car began to move. "I imagine you're confused." "A little," admitted Jessica, clutching her purse in her lap. "I'll get straight to the point. In recent years, I've built a billion-dollar empire. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. But you know what I discovered? That being surrounded only by people who want something from me, money, influence, status, is the deepest loneliness that exists." Victoria looked out the window at Manhattan's streets, illuminated by the afternoon sun. 3 months ago, I walked into that cafe by chance. I had just left a particularly unpleasant meeting. You served me with a genuine smile. It wasn't that fake smile people give me hoping for favors. It was real. So I started observing. Jessica felt a shiver. Observing? Yes. I returned to the cafe several times, always at different hours. I saw how you treat everyone with the same respect. The arrogant executive, the tired delivery guy, the student with little money. I saw you studying English on your phone during breaks. I saw you saving tips in a separate envelope. And I saw, through the window one day, you hugging a little girl. Your daughter, I presume. Jessica nodded, still processing. You work double shifts when you can. Never complain. Never lose your grace even when customers are rude. You know what that told me? That you have character. And character, Jessica, is the rarest thing in my world. The car stopped in front of an imposing building on Fifth Avenue. The driver opened the door, and they entered, passing through a luxurious reception to a private elevator that went directly to the 45th floor. Victoria's penthouse was an enormous loft with floor-to-ceiling windows, offering a panoramic view of New York City. Minimalist, elegant, with works of art Jessica vaguely recognized from magazines. Please, sit. Victoria indicated a white leather sofa. Would you like something to drink? Water, juice, wine? Water, thank you. Victoria served 2 sparkling waters in crystal glasses and sat in the armchair across from Jessica. My proposal is simple. I need a personal assistant, not for administrative tasks. I have a team for that. I need someone real. Someone who reminds me there's a world beyond boardrooms and business dinners. Someone who can be my companion at social events, who helps me navigate situations where I need to seem more human. Jessica blinked, confused. You want to hire me to be your friend? Not exactly a friend, but yes. Someone whose presence is genuine. The salary would be $20,000 a month, plus benefits. Complete health insurance for you and your daughter, education assistance, and an apartment in the Upper West Side for you to live in. Jessica almost dropped her glass. 20? Are you serious? Completely. I know it sounds absurd. I know it sounds too good to be true. But I need someone real in my life, Jessica. And you're the most real person I've found in years. Why me? The question came out in a whisper. Victoria was silent for a moment, her blue eyes meeting Jessica's hazel ones. Because when you smile, it's true. Because you treat people with dignity regardless of who they are. Because you're building a better life for your daughter with your own hands, without expecting someone else to do it for you. And because... She hesitated. Because when I look at you, I feel like maybe there's still genuine goodness in the world. Jessica felt tears burning in her eyes. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. You don't need to answer now. Take a few days. Talk to your daughter. Think about whether this is something you want. And if I say no, then I thank you for your time, and you go back to your life. No hard feelings, no consequences. My word. Jessica looked at that powerful woman, used to having everything she wanted, but who at that moment seemed strangely vulnerable. Can I ask you a question? Jessica ventured. Of course. Why are you so lonely? With all the money and power you have, can't you make friends? Victoria smiled, but it was a sad smile. When you're this rich, you never know if people like you or what you can do for them. I grew up learning not to trust anyone. I built walls so high that now I find myself trapped inside them. The raw honesty in Victoria's voice touched something in Jessica. I'll think about it carefully, said Jessica, standing up. I need to go pick up my daughter. Let my driver take you. During the ride back to Queens, Jessica looked out the Mercedes window, seeing her city from a completely different angle. Could it be possible that her life could change like this? Suddenly? Would it be right to accept? But she thought of Emily, of the medical appointments she postponed for lack of money, of the worn-out shoes her daughter wore without complaining, of the dreams she had of giving her a better life. Maybe, just maybe, this was the chance she'd been waiting for. Jessica spent 3 sleepless nights. Victoria's proposal echoed constantly in her mind, mixing hope and fear in equal proportions. On the 3rd day, she gathered courage and talked to Emily. Honey, if we could live in a better place, with a good school for you, with doctors whenever we need them, would you like that? Emily, who was drawing on recycled printer paper, looked at her mother with her big, intelligent eyes. Would we have to leave here? Yes. But it would be close, and Mrs. Chen could visit whenever she wants. The girl thought for a moment, and, "Would you be happier, Mom?" The question surprised Jessica. "Why do you ask that?" "Because you get tired, and sometimes I hear you crying at night when you think I'm sleeping." Jessica felt her heart squeeze. She pulled her daughter into a tight hug. "Then I accept," said Emily simply. "If you'll be less tired, I'll accept anywhere." The next morning, Jessica called Victoria. "I accept your proposal, but with one condition. Tell me." "My daughter comes first, always. If there's any conflict between work and what she needs, she wins." "I completely agree," Victoria responded without hesitation. "Actually, I'd like to meet her, if you'll allow it." 2 days later, Jessica and Emily were at the door of Victoria's penthouse. The girl squeezed her mother's hand, nervous about the imposing building and the security guards at the entrance. When Victoria opened the door, Jessica barely recognized her. The businesswoman wore jeans and a simple sweater, her hair loose falling over her shoulders. She looked younger, less intimidating. "You must be Emily," said Victoria, crouching down to the girl's height. "Your mother told me many beautiful things about you." "Are you really rich?" asked Emily without beating around the bush. Victoria laughed, a genuine laugh that surprised Jessica. "I am. But that's not the most important thing about me." "What is the most important thing, then?" Victoria thought for a moment. "That I try to be fair, and that I'm trying to learn to be a better person." Emily seemed satisfied with the answer. "Do you have games on your phone? I have a tablet with several. Want to play while I talk to your mother?" While Emily settled on the sofa with the tablet, Victoria and Jessica sat on the terrace with a view of the city. "She's incredible," said Victoria. "You've done an extraordinary job raising her alone." "Thank you. She's my whole life." "So let's start slowly," proposed Victoria. "How about you work part-time for the first few weeks? Keep your job at the cafe for now, until you're sure this will work. I'll pay half the proposed salary during this trial period." Jessica nodded, relieved by the sensitivity. "Guys, see how things are evolving? Don't miss the next chapter. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell." The first few weeks were an emotional roller coaster. Victoria took Jessica to dinners at restaurants where a single meal cost more than her monthly salary at the cafe. She taught her about wines, about contemporary art, about how to navigate conversations with New York's elite. But Jessica also taught Victoria. She took her to eat tacos at food trucks in Queens, to drink fresh juice at corner bodegas, to watch Emily play soccer with other kids at the neighborhood park. One afternoon, while walking through Central Park, Victoria watched Emily play with other children. "I never had this," she said suddenly. "What?" "A real childhood. My parents put me in expensive private schools, with drivers and nannies. I never played in a public park. I never had friends who didn't come from families like mine. That must have been lonely." "It was. And it shaped who I became. Someone who knows how to make money but doesn't know how to make friends." Jessica gently touched her arm. "You're learning. And that's what matters." Victoria looked at her, and there was something new in those blue eyes. Something that made Jessica's heart race. "You make me want to be better," Victoria said quietly. As the weeks passed, Jessica noticed that Victoria was beginning to change. She smiled more, made jokes, showed genuine interest in the people around her. And Jessica discovered layers in Victoria that no one else saw. Her passion for classic literature, her hidden talent for the violin, her vulnerability when she talked about the pressure of maintaining the family empire. One evening, during a charity dinner, Jessica wore a dress borrowed from Victoria, navy blue, elegant but discreet. They were seated at a table with business people and their spouses, all curious about who the young woman was that Victoria Ashford had brought as her companion. "And what field do you work in, dear?" asked a lady with excessive jewelry. "I work with people," Jessica responded diplomatically, as Victoria had taught her. "How interesting. And how did you meet our Victoria?" Jessica looked at Victoria, who gave her an encouraging smile. "She came into the cafe where I worked, and we had an unexpected connection." "Oh, how romantic." The lady clapped her hands. "Are you two—" Victoria gently but firmly interrupted. "We're friends. And Jessica is one of the most important people in my life." The statement was simple, but the tone was absolute. No one else asked invasive questions. On the way back, inside the car, Jessica asked, Why didn't you deny it when she implied we're more than friends? Victoria was silent for a moment, looking at the city lights through the window. Because I don't want to deny you, Jessica. Regardless of what we are or aren't. You're too important to me to be just a footnote in my life. The air inside the car seemed denser. Jessica felt something moving inside her chest, something she hadn't felt in years. Since Emily's father, who abandoned her when she was pregnant, she had built walls around her heart. But Victoria was gently dismantling each brick, with patience and care. Victoria, Jessica began, her voice trembling. What are we doing here? Really? Victoria finally looked at her, and the intensity in her eyes was almost unbearable. Honestly, I don't know. I just know that before you, I merely existed. Now, I live, and I'm afraid that if this ends, I'll go back to being that empty woman surrounded by luxury and loneliness. You were never empty. Jessica held her hand. You were just lost, like me. Their intertwined hands felt like the most natural thing in the world. Happiness never lasts forever without being tested. 3 months after Jessica accepted Victoria's proposal, a photo of them appeared in a gossip column. Nothing compromising, just the two of them leaving a restaurant, Victoria with her hand discreetly resting on Jessica's back. But the headline was sensationalist. Billionaire heiress abandons high society suitors for mysterious waitress. The photo went viral. Within 48 hours, Jessica saw her private life being publicly dissected. Reporters showed up at the cafe where she still worked part-time. They discovered about Emily. They speculated about everything, from financial interest to a secret lesbian relationship. Jessica was preparing dinner when her phone started exploding with messages. Calls from unknown numbers, interview requests, and worse, horrible comments on social media. Gold digger, fortune hunter, shameful, using a child to get money. Tears fell before she could stop them. Emily, who was doing homework at the table, looked up, worried. Mom, is everything okay? Jessica quickly wiped away the tears. Yes, honey, it's just adult stuff. The phone rang. Victoria. Jessica, I saw it. I'm coming over right now. Don't answer any more calls. Don't read any more comments. Victoria, this is getting too big. Maybe it's better if I step away. Let things cool down. No. Victoria's voice was firm as steel. We're not going to let cruel and envious people dictate our lives. I'm coming over. Wait for me. 20 minutes later, Victoria arrived at the apartment in Queens. She wore no makeup, was in a hoodie, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She must have rushed out of the house. She hugged Jessica without saying anything, just holding her while she cried. Emily watched everything with serious eyes. Are people being mean to my mom? She asked. Victoria crouched down in front of the girl. Yes, because some people are afraid of what they don't understand. And they don't understand that your mother is one of the bravest and most honest people who exist. Do you like my mom? The question was simple, but loaded with meaning. Victoria looked at Jessica, then back at Emily. Very much. More than I can explain with words. Then will you take care of her? Because she always takes care of everyone. But no one takes care of her. Victoria felt tears in her own eyes. I promise I will. Emily nodded, satisfied, and returned to her homework. That night, after Emily fell asleep, Victoria and Jessica talked for hours, sitting on the small apartment sofa, sharing a bottle of cheap wine Jessica had saved. I can sue the magazine, said Victoria, for invasion of privacy. No, that'll just attract more attention. Then what do you want to do? Jessica took a deep breath. I want the truth. I want to stop pretending we're just friends when we're clearly more than that. The silence that followed was heavy. Jessica, I know it's complicated. I know you have a public image to maintain. I know your family might not approve, but Victoria, She hesitated. I can't keep pretending I don't feel what I feel. Victoria closed her eyes, as if gathering courage. I never allowed myself to feel this before. I grew up in a world where love is weakness, where feelings are obstacles to business. I buried that part of me so deep I thought it didn't exist anymore. She opened her eyes and took Jessica's hands. Until you, with your genuine smile and your unwavering kindness. You, who taught me that wealth without human connection is absolute poverty. You, who make me want to be a better person every day. Guys, my heart is racing here. Are you feeling this emotion too? Leave your like and subscribe so you don't miss the ending. So let's do this for real, whispered Jessica. Without fear? Without hiding? Yes. And if my family doesn't approve, if society judges, if we lose everything, so be it. Because the only thing that really matters is this. Victoria touched her own chest, then Jessica's. What we feel. They kissed there, on the old sofa in the small apartment, and it was the most honest kiss either of them had ever given. In the following days, Victoria did something unprecedented. She gave a press conference, not about business, but about her personal life. Sitting in front of cameras, with Jessica by her side, she spoke. Yes, Jessica Martinez is very important to me. Yes, we're together. And no, it's nobody's business but ours. But since there's been so much speculation, I'll tell the truth. I met an extraordinary woman who taught me there are things more valuable than money. She's a single mother, worked hard all her life, and deserves all the respect in the world. Anyone who has a problem with that, the problem is yours, not ours. The interview generated more controversy, but also surprising support, people who identified with the story. Single mothers who saw representation, women who felt courage to live their truths. But not everything was positive. A week later, Victoria's family called an urgent meeting. The Ashfords, uncles, cousins, members of the company's board of directors, were furious. "Are you risking the family's reputation for a fling?" shouted Uncle Charles, the oldest board member. Victoria, sitting at the head of the enormous conference table, remained calm. "It's not a fling, and our reputation has survived much worse scandals. It will survive me choosing who to love. The company's stock dropped 3% this week. And it will recover. It always recovers. Besides, my numbers have never lied. I've tripled the company's value in the last 5 years. My personal life doesn't affect my ability to do business, but her cousin Melissa, always envious of Victoria's position, attacked from another angle. What if she's only with you for the money? How do you know it's real?" Victoria smiled, a smile sharp as a blade, because Jessica refused a credit card with no limit, refused a brand new car, refused jewelry. The only thing she accepted was health insurance for her daughter. So yes, Melissa, I'm sure it's real. More sure than you were in any of the 3 marriages that ended in million-dollar divorces. The silence was absolute. Victoria stood up. "You can remove me from the presidency if you want. You can disinherit me, but you won't take her away from me because she's the first real thing I've had in my life. And I'll fight for this with the same determination I use in business." She left the room, leaving the family in shock. 2 weeks after the tense meeting with the family, Victoria received a formal ultimatum. The board would give a vote of no confidence if she didn't end the relationship with Jessica. They argued that the controversy was affecting business, scaring away conservative partners. Victoria read the document in her office, Jessica sitting beside her. "They can't do this," said Jessica, pale. "You built this empire. You transformed your father's company into something 10 times bigger." "They can. Technically, the board has the power to remove me." Victoria placed the paper on the desk. "And maybe they're right. Maybe I've put my feelings above the responsibility to thousands of employees." "No." Jessica held her face with both hands. "Don't let them make you doubt this. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to love and be loved." "But at what cost, Jessica? If I lose the company, I lose my identity. It's all I've known since childhood." "No, it's not. You're so much more than CEO. You're the woman who learned to play violin in secret from your parents because they thought it was frivolous. You're the woman who cries at romantic movies when you think no one's watching. You're the woman who taught Emily to ride a bike in the park last week with all the patience in the world." Victoria closed her eyes, tears falling. "I'm scared, Jessica. Scared of choosing wrong. Scared of losing you. Scared of losing everything. Then let me stay with you while you figure it out. You don't have to choose now. You don't have to have all the answers." That night, Victoria made a decision. She called an extraordinary board meeting. She entered the boardroom wearing her most impeccable suit, hair pulled back, upright posture, the business warrior everyone knew. "I received your ultimatum, and I've come to give my answer." Everyone leaned forward, expectant. "I resign from the presidency." The shock was visible. Uncle Charles turned red. Melissa smiled, already savoring victory. "But," Victoria continued, her voice cutting through the murmur, "I resign under one condition. I want to sell my share of the company, all the stock, and I want it to be at fair market value." "Victoria, be reasonable," Uncle Charles began. "I've been reasonable my whole life. I sacrificed relationships, happiness, mental health for this company. Now it's my turn to choose differently." "And what do you intend to do?" asked Melissa with disdain. "Become a waitress with your little girlfriend?" Victoria smiled. "No. I intend to use the money from the sale to create my own company, one that reflects my values, not yours. And I intend to hire Jessica as my partner, because she understands people in a way none of you ever will." She placed the resignation letter on the table. "You have 30 days to process the sale. My lawyers will be in touch." Walking out of the corporate building for the last time, Victoria felt something strange. It wasn't sadness. It was freedom. Jessica was waiting on the sidewalk, with Emily beside her. When she saw Victoria, she ran to hug her. "So?" "I'm unemployed." Victoria laughed, a light laugh, almost hysterical. "For the first time in 15 years, I don't have a meeting tomorrow morning. Are you okay?" "I'm more than okay. It's perfect." Guys, what a moment. Don't stop watching now. We're almost at the emotional ending. 6 months later, Jessica woke up in the new apartment. Not the one Victoria had offered on the Upper West Side, but one they chose together in Brooklyn, near Emily's new school. It was comfortable, bright, full of plants that Jessica insisted on having everywhere. Victoria slept beside her, hair spread on the pillow, face peaceful. Jessica still marveled at this, at the simple intimacy of waking up together, of sharing breakfast, of fighting for closet space. The new company, Real Connection Human Consulting, was doing better than expected. Victoria brought business expertise and Jessica brought sensitivity for dealing with people. They helped other companies humanize their practices, treat employees with dignity, build healthier corporate cultures. Ironically, they were getting more clients than they could handle. "The irony is delicious," Victoria commented during breakfast, reading emails. "Companies that would never hire me as a consultant because of the scandal now line up because our approach works." "It's because you stopped pretending," said Jessica, serving orange juice. "People feel authenticity." Emily entered the kitchen in pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Good morning, family." "Good morning, princess," they said in unison. The girl had adapted wonderfully. She loved her new school, had made friends, and treated Victoria with a mixture of affection and the typical demands of an 8-year-old. "Victoria, are you coming to the school performance next week? I'm going to be a tree in the play." "Wouldn't miss it for anything. I'll sit in the front row and record everything." "Cool. Mom, you're coming too, right?" "Of course, honey." Later that day, while Emily was at school, Victoria and Jessica visited the corner brew. Marcus almost fell over when he saw them. "Jess! Victoria! I've missed you guys!" They ordered coffee and sat at the same table where it all began. "Sometimes it feels like a dream," confessed Jessica. "Like my life changed completely in less than a year." "Any regrets?" "Not one bit. Scared sometimes, but never regretful." Victoria held her hand on the table, not caring who might see. "You know what I realized? That I spent my whole life chasing success, thinking it would make me happy. But happiness was here all along, in this cafe, in the form of a waitress with a genuine smile who treated me with kindness when I didn't deserve it. You always deserved it, Victoria. You just didn't know it." 1 year after the day it all began, they returned to the cafe for a special event. Victoria had proposed creating a scholarship program for single mothers, offering professional training and help with childcare so they could study. The first group of scholarship recipients was gathered. 10 women, all with stories similar to Jessica's. "I know what it's like," Jessica spoke to them, Victoria by her side. "I know what it's like to work hard and feel like it's never enough. I know what it's like to choose between buying medicine for your child or paying the electric bill. I know what it's like to dream of something better. but not see how to get there. She looked at Victoria. But I also learned that sometimes life surprises you. Sometimes, when you least expect it, someone sees your value, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And that reality, that authenticity, is what really matters. One of the women raised her hand timidly. Are you two together, like a couple? Jessica and Victoria exchanged a look and smiled. We are, Victoria answered, and it was the best deal I ever made in my life. The women laughed, and the ice was broken. They spent the next 2 hours sharing stories, dreams, fears. When the event ended and they were heading home, Emily sitting in the back seat humming, Jessica looked out the window at the city. What are you thinking about? Asked Victoria. About how funny it is. You left 0 tip that day. And you found something much more valuable under the plate. I did. I found someone who saw me when I was invisible, who valued me when I thought I had no value, who loved me when I didn't even know I was worthy of love. Victoria parked the car in front of the building and turned to Jessica. You were always worthy, Jessica, always extraordinary. I was just lucky to realize it before everyone else. They kissed there, gently, while Emily pretended not to see but smiled. That night, after Emily fell asleep, they sat on the apartment balcony, looking at the lights of the city that never sleeps. Are you happy? Asked Victoria. Happier than I ever imagined possible, replied Jessica. And you? Victoria thought for a moment, then smiled, that genuine smile she learned from Jessica. For the first time in my life, I know what it is to be truly rich. And it has nothing to do with money. What does it have to do with then? With you? With Emily? With waking up every day and knowing I have something real, something we built together with honesty and courage. With being able to look in the mirror and like the person I see. Jessica rested her head on Victoria's shoulder. You know what I think is most amazing about all this? What? That you walked into that cafe looking for just an espresso and found a family. Victoria kissed the top of Jessica's head. The best tip I could have left was that card, because it brought me back to life. And there, on the balcony of an apartment in Brooklyn, 2 women who came from completely different worlds proved that true love knows no class barriers, isn't intimidated by others' judgment, and always, always finds a way. Because sometimes, the best stories begin with 0 tip and an unexpected note, and they end with something money can't buy: genuine love, chosen family, and the courage to be who you really are. So, did you like this story? It was emotional, wasn't it? If you identified with this journey of love, courage, and transformation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share with someone special. Here we celebrate love in all its forms, and every week there's a new story. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and see you next time. A kiss to each one of your hearts.